Everybody, I made an Instagram that's for people. Go follow that. And also follow me on Twitter. None of you guys do. It makes me sad. I have a really good joke on there I want more people to see. Anyways, the Nameless Narcissist here once again. A simple man diagnosed with MPD, trying to give you the truth about narcissistic personality disorder and tell you what goes on in my head. Keep in mind I am no clinician, so I can only speak to my own experiences. But if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And follow me on other social media, please. I want to be more popular. Anyways, so I hear this a lot, and it's especially people with cluster B disorders, is we often feel very misunderstood, I guess. And yes, that tracks with my experience quite a bit. And to the point that people kind of get upset with me when I say that they don't understand things, because, I mean, I guess I understand that kind of, but it's also like, you don't understand. You don't know what it's like to be empty, or to be reliant on people for self-esteem regulation, to hate yourself, stuff like that. And it does, and maybe this is part of that lack of understanding, is I don't understand why that's something that's so offensive to a lot of people. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it. I have a completely different way of thinking about and perceiving the world. My cognition is different, and this is evident just in the DSM criteria. And it is a constant frustration of mine, trying to, one, like, fully understand everybody else, and more so when I do things that I don't understand are wrong, so to speak, or would make somebody upset. Grandiosity, for instance. Like, if somebody asked me about it, I'll be like, yeah, I fucking think I'm better than everybody. Like, I am. I mean, look at me. But, to me, since I look down on literally everybody, I don't understand why people would take that personally. To me, it's like, I'm viewing everyone equally as bad, right? And also, especially since I acknowledge the fact that, yeah, I know that is a pathological thought of mine, one that I can't help, and then people still get upset with me about it. Which highlights one of the biggest issues with having a personality disorder, especially cluster B, is that our symptoms aren't obvious. Our symptoms just look like we're being assholes, but they are symptoms. They're things that we cannot help, and for the most part, I mean, we can modify our behaviors, obviously, but deep down, we're always narcissists or borderlines or antisocial or whatever. It's super frustrating, honestly. And it's kind of ironic, because you're seeing now how I'm still feeling misunderstood, right? Because I feel misunderstood because I can't understand anybody, and then it's so hard to explain. And especially since I don't know how many of these behaviors are abnormal. Heal MBD did a great video about hypersensitivity to criticism in narcissistic personality disorder, and how this ultimately boils down to misunderstandings. Because when I feel like I'm criticized, I don't feel like, it's not the criticism itself. Like, you can call me arrogant and kind of a dick all day. I won't care. Be like, oh, you lack empathy, you're cold, callous. Yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, true. It's when I don't feel like my internal experience is being properly expressed. And I think this is similar for almost everybody. Why? And maybe that's kind of why maybe people feel like I'm misunderstanding them when I say stuff like that. I don't know. I really don't. It's so constant too. It is so constant. And I feel like it's kind of disingenuous to come at it from an angle, though, of being like, yeah, we understand each other and stuff, like, because like, you don't. How are we supposed to move forward in a friendship or relationship or whatever with this misconception that we are alike and that you do understand my internal experience, because there's no earnest ways to move forward from there. Also, I just realized, yeah, I'm in a different room right now, and it's not my house, but I'm cat sitting for some people. Last time I did it for them, their rabbit died. It wasn't my fault, I swear to God. Man, you guys probably won't believe me, because I am a pathological narcissist, but they wouldn't have invited me over again if it was my fault. Hopefully another pet doesn't die, because, I mean, last time was 75% good, only 25% casualties, but then if someone dies this time, it'll be 33%, and I can't deal with that. The fucking bringer of death over here. I'm trying to think of other examples of when I feel very misunderstood. I mean, it's because it is frequent, or like anger and stuff. People will just kind of assume that it feels like people are assuming that I am choosing to be angry, right? Who would choose to be angry? Um, because our symptoms, again, since our symptoms just appear like us being assholes, it's so commonly assumed that these aren't symptoms, we're just making choices. But it's hard to constantly fight against your nature 100% of the time. Don't get me wrong, there are times I kind of, I guess, allow myself to behave in certain ways, but even that in itself is symptomatic of the disorder, just because of the messed up thought processes and how I'm rationalizing being able to act in maybe exploitative ways or just what people would perceive as shitty. And it's also like, because for a while I thought this was a more pathological perception of mine until I started meeting other people that were cluster B and stuff, and I was like, oh wow, like, I'm not as insane as well, okay, maybe I'm more insane than I thought. Because it was like, finally, people are saying the things that I have felt were true my entire life, but that everyone else was just pretending weren't. And it still just kind of feels like I'm in this clown world where everyone around me are kind of morons and just don't really get how things work. And earnestly, who's to say who has the accurate perception in this situation? Just because the majority of people think something is the correct way, so to speak, what's to say that that's correct? I mean, that inhibits my ability to function in the society, so I kind of have to go off the assumption that they are correct. But objectively speaking, I mean, look, for like, how much of human history do people think slavery was okay? The vast majority. Obviously, just the majority thinking something doesn't indicate truthfulness. So I guess that's why, like, I just feel misunderstood all the time. When I argue with somebody, it feels like I'm arguing with them on like a different axis. People, like, they can be making points on the x-axis, and I'm like, yeah, I can see how, but that's not what I'm saying, right? I'm arguing on the y-axis. It feels like they completely miss the point when I am trying to describe how I am feeling about something or experiencing it. A good example is like when I had my BPD ex, and I kept going back to her, and people were being like, oh, why are you doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, me being hurt by her is the least relevant thing in this decision-making process, which it shouldn't be, obviously, but it wasn't at all the thing that I needed to hear. When I am, let's say I'm going through a breakup and stuff, and like they're like, oh, like, she still cares about you, it just wasn't a good time. I'm like, I don't want to fucking hear that. That's just going to make me fixate on it more. I'm going to think that there's hope, make me want to go try even harder to get back with them. Or if I was trying, I probably wouldn't be trying it. Well, it depends on the situation. I've gone into that a little bit more. But like, I need to hear like, oh my god, you're going to do so much better than her. She was worthless, not worth your time. And I get that people, don't feel comfortable saying stuff like that, especially since in a lot of cases it might not be true. But that's the things that I want to hear that will help me heal from that relationship the most. And maybe that's reinforcing bad perceptions and bad coping strategies. But it's like, just tell me that, please. Guys, please comfort me and tell me that I was too good for all my exes. Every single one. Well, the ones that I broke up with I already knew. But the ones that I didn't, the ones that broke my heart, tell me they're terrible. And because of the black and white thinking also makes this really hard. Like, for example, I'll be talking to somebody being like, oh yeah, everyone betrayed me, blah, 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 blah. And it's obviously dramatic, and I kind of view it as almost hyperbolic in a lot of ways. But that person's like pursuing it as like, oh, what, literally everybody? And I'm like, okay, well, I guess not everybody, but like the majority. Or even worse, they'll think that includes them. And I'm like, why would I be saying that to you if you were included in that group of people, right? I'm just trying to vent, and I'm being a little dramatic while I'm doing it, and the black and white thinking's coming out. And if I take a step away, yeah, I can be able to be like, okay, yeah, sure, it's not everybody, but it feels like everybody. In a lot of ways, for cluster Bs, our emotions are more important than facts. Again, a little bit more prevalent for BPD in that way, but whatever. And if you, like, people don't, I guess, like, people just don't want to, I guess it's hard for other people who don't have the super overwhelming emotionality that goes along with all this, just to need to, like, say out loud how I'm feeling and have that validated when I'm not. They feel this need to, like, fix my faulty perceptions. And I'm like, okay, when I take a step back, I'll know it's faulty. Just let me have this moment, let me get all this out, and then we can address it from a rational standpoint. Because there will come a time when I'm like, okay, oh, there's another good example. When I ask people for advice, and then they get offended that I don't follow it. Because, like, let's be real, I'm going to do what I want to do. And what I want to do is probably going to be super impulsive in the moment. And people like take this very personal attitude towards the fact that I didn't listen to them. It's like, I am not coming to you to tell me what to do. I want to talk to you to hear another perspective that gives me some indication of where I'm actually at. I'm still probably going to do the stupid thing. And that has nothing to do with, you could tell me over and over and over again, and that's what it feels like a lot of the time. Do this, do this, do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do it like that because the way that you handle things, the way you relate to the world doesn't resonate with me. And a lot of ways, the ways I choose to do them have a better outcome than if I would listen to people. And I don't know, again, I just don't get it. It's like, don't tell me what to do, or give me advice. Don't tell me what to do. If I'm asking you for advice or for your perspective, I respect you a lot, and it's way more likely I might integrate some of your thoughts into what I want to do, but there's never going to be a time that I'm going to follow your words exactly. I mean, unless I was already going to do it like that, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, no matter how much I respect you, what's going to be more important, honestly, are my emotions and how I think about the situation. And I think that applies to most people, unless there's people that just want people to tell them what to do. The only way I would do that is if I could kind of shrug off blame and put it on them after I did it, because I'm a bag of shit. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's not pleasant being fundamentally wired wrong, just because of how hard it is to get into a situation where I can be on an even playing field with somebody. It like takes years for us to even have anything remote to a understanding. Imagine if the only people that you ever understood in your life was like one or two people that you basically never saw. That's how my life has been. Everyone is very confusing to me because I try to analyze the way they act. I interpret it through the lens of why would I do this, and to wrap my mind around why somebody would be motivated to do something. Because like I can see the patterns, right? It's like, okay, they're sad, and because of that, they're going to do this thing. And it is always through the lens of emotion too, which is an interesting thing I just recognized. But to really connect with how that emotion is affecting that person and how it's motivating them, I'm lost. I remember there was once this girl who was like convinced this guy was like in love with her. And looking back on it, it was obvious just she was desperate for that to happen. But it just felt like she wasn't listening to reason when I was like, hey, that's probably not what's going on, because she was basically saying, oh, this guy's jealous for some reason. And I was like, I think there's other reasons he could be acting in that way. And it feels like when I try to tell people like how I'm interpreting events going down, it's like so foreign. And usually I'm more right, if I'm being honest. Because I've spent so much time working on myself and trying to understand other people, while most people who are healthy don't have to invest so much time into analyzing themselves, reading about themselves, and modifying their behaviors just to function. And I'm envious of the fact that they don't have to do that. I think I'm always going to have a little bit of bitterness about it, but it is what it is. As long as you're operating in a somewhat healthy way, then whatever. But yeah, that was a little bit of a tangent. Again, follow me on social media, please. And if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a good day. Take your fucking meds.